Hi, and welcome to the Cooking Club. This is an introduction, and as I said, that I have a very special gadget that helps me to make things run smoothly. Be really good for time if time is a barrier for you, as well as limiting the amount of pots and pans that you use so you don't have to keep washing up. And most importantly, not having to spend hours in the kitchen watching things that they don't boil over, or, for example, when you've got something that you need to keep constantly stirring so it doesn't stick. This gadget is amazing, and this is what I want to show you what it does today with doing some different recipes on how easy it can be. So hopefully you can gain the motivation around cooking from scratch, and realizing actually it's cheaper doing it this way, as well, a massive time saver, as well as not having so much waste as well. So what I'm going to do is, obviously you're not going to see my head in a moment because I need you to look down at the screen of the actual gadget. So it's called a Thermomix. So I'm just going to show you what it looks like, put it all together, and then we're going to get going with doing some recipes for you. So are you ready? So I'm just going to alter my screen. So this is the gadget. It's called a Thermomix, and I'm going to turn it on so you can see it's a lovely like iPad at the beginning, which turns on. So we're just going to boot it up now, and you can see that we've got this bowl, and with this bowl, at the moment it's empty, and it comes with a metal bowl that sits inside, just like so. And then we have this blade that goes inside, and you just wiggle it to fit so it slots in. And then on the side, you can see there's this lever here. And all you do is push it as far as you can until you can't go any more. And what that's done now is lock that blade in so it can't come out. That's the first bit. And of course, we have the lid that sits on top. And then we also have this little cover that actually sits on top of the lid, like so. But what we also have with this gadget is a little basket so it can steam veg, it can cook rice, and it would sit just inside there, but we're not going to need that today, so I'm not going to use that. It also comes with a spatula, which stands up so you don't have to keep getting a dirty side. And also, it comes with a varoma. So if you're steaming vegetables or cooking a joint, for example, you've got the lid. You've got this basket that can sit all your vegetables, so it steams. And then you've got this tray where the meat can go on. So how that works is you would take the lid off here and you would pop it on. So how it works is it sits lovely on your Thermomix base, okay? And then on top, you would then put what we call the varoma. And then this is the lid that sits on top. So there's lots of little gadgets with it. But again, we're not going to use the varoma today with what I'm going to do with your 3 recipes that we're going to get in, okay? So that's what it looks like as a complete set. So let's take that off because I'm not going to use that bit, and we're not going to use the basket. So coming back to this lovely machine, you can see the screen here, which is like a computer. And when you press all of those dots, you can go to My Week. And here it populates the recipes. So you can see at the moment, I've got 3 recipes in for today. And then I've got 1 on Thursday at the moment, but I haven't put it in on any of the others. And what's beauty of it is when you click on a recipe, for example, it'll show, and you've got 3 little dots at the top. And if you click on that, you can add to your shopping list, which is the bottom one there, and that will send it to your shopping list. And it is an app called Cookie Do, and it comes on your phone. And I'm just going to show you very briefly. So it comes on your phone, so you've got the app, and you can go to shopping, which I've done. Here's what I've done earlier. And you can see it's got your shopping list. So everything's pulled through from there onto here. Now, if I untick them, you can see it moves up the top. So the idea is when you're out in the supermarket, you can tick them as you go along and they automatically move to the bottom so you know what you've got left. Also, what I do, which I find really useful, is I always tick what I've got in my house first. So it saves me buying things twice by accident and then having so much, products in the house, herbs and spices, particularly. You buy them again thinking, I'm not sure if I've got it, but if you check and tick it first, then it will just leave what's left in your basket. Also, what I love about this as well is you can add. So if you want, for example, toilet rolls, you can type in toilet rolls or bleach or kitchen roll. You can add that to your list. So I've just been out earlier and I purchased some toilet rolls when I was doing the shopping and I just added it to my list. So I'm just show you here. I've just added it and then you can see now at the top we've got toilet rolls. So it's as easy as that. It's really good. And what is brilliant is you can send it if you do online food shopping. You can send it. You've got to connect your, say you use Tesco, you've got to connect your Tesco with this app, and then you can basically move it to your Tesco basket. So then all you need to do is select your time slot for your delivery if you're doing home delivery, and it will come straight to your door, and you can use the app doing that. So it saves you having to manually put your food shopping into your online basket. And it works with Tesco, Sainsbury's, so it's quite flexible. And I absolutely love that feature. So what we're going to do is this is what it looks like. So I'm going to show you the recipe that we're going to do first. We're not going to do this one. And the one we're going to go to is, first of all, is we're going to make a basic green smoothie. Very easy and simple. So what we're going to do first of all is we need to press start. And now it's telling me to place chunks of banana, quartered apple and quartered orange. So I'm just going to take the lid off now and put that in. And it doesn't have to be precise either. So here's the banana. I'm going to show you first. I'm going to get my knife to just raise it up now so you can see. So you literally are just chopping. Don't have to be precise. And it's as easy as that. When you've done that, you can tick what you've just put in there off. So then it helps so you know where you are. The next one is apple that's been quartered. So I've already done this. Again, with the skins on, you just take the core out and just pop that in there. And then the orange, it's not peeled, it's just quartered. And it says one whole orange. So you can take up the little nuggets as well. So we're going to pop that in there. That's your orange done. And then fresh ginger. So it acts as scales now. So you can see it set my scales to 0. And what I'm going to do is put some fresh ginger in. So we want it 5 grams of fresh ginger. So that's giving me 3. It doesn't matter if you go slightly over, it's not a problem. And also if you're not keen on ginger, you can put less in or none in. If you really like ginger, then you can put more in. So it's quite flexible to adapt the recipe and tweak it as well. The next one we've got is fresh baby spinach. So again, on here you can see the scales are already set. So I'm just going to pop in some fresh spinach. And this will seem quite a lot because spinach doesn't weigh much. There we go. And when you've hit the exact measurement, it does actually automatically tick it for you. You probably just heard it ping then. The next one we're going to need is ice cubes. Just going to go over, get some ice cubes. We need 150 grams of ice cubes. So again, it's set at 0. Just double check that it is set at 0 because sometimes it can be slightly off. So you just need to make sure it's set itself. And you can buy frozen ice cubes. It's gone slightly over. I've just took one out. And again, if you wanted to leave it in, you can. And then we need 200 grams of water. So again, I'm just going to show you the water going in. And it's 200, so 186 at the moment. And there we go, slightly over. But as long as it's within 10%, it will tick it as being on the measurement. So the lemon, this one does say peeled for the lemon, and we only need a quarter. So I'd already done that previous to doing this. And then next. So it's telling me now to pop the lid on. And then once you put the lid on, all I need to do is press the green, go. And there you go. You can see that it has told you that it's done. And the beauty of this is because it's attached to your phone and you've told your phone what recipe you're going to do, it also has a timer. So if you wanted to go and do your washing, yeah, if you want to go and play with the kids, or maybe you've got some housework to do, you can multitask. So while this is doing its job, you can walk away from it and not worry about it boiling or sticking because it's doing its job, and it will tell you when the time's up for the next part of the recipe. So that's it. It says finish. So I'm just going to press finish. And then you can take the lid off. I'm just going to show you my green smoothie, and then I'm just going to pour it so you can see. And there you go. Lovely green smoothie, and it is, it is really healthy. So you've got in here folic acid, which improves brain function. You've got fiber, of course, which is good for digestion and also weight management. And you've got orange in there to add vitamin C that helps to boost our immunity. Also, vitamin C is an antioxidant, so it also reduces inflammation and also enhances collagen production. So you can see it's the perfect smoothie for midlife women. So as you can see, we've only got, apples and bananas in there as well for potassium that supports our blood pressure as well. So if you do suffer with high blood pressure, this is a great one to help. So chin chin. And it's lovely because it's quite sweet because you've got the apple, and then you've got the lemon, which gives it the tartness as well. And then you've put the ginger in, which gives it that little bit of a kick. So even though it looks green, it tastes nothing like spinach. And it's healthy for you. So hope you enjoyed that one. So what we're going to do now is I need to do a bit of cleaning. So first of all, I'm going to pop the rest of this in a jug. So I can use it for later. So you can see it does quite a lot. And if you like it to be thinner, you can just add more water or ice cubes. But I quite like it like this consistency. Then all you need to do, so that's going to go in the fridge now, so I can have that for later. Just going to put some water in here just above the blades. And then all I need to do is just put a little bit of washing up liquid, literally just a dab, otherwise you end up with loads of froth and bubbles. You pop that back on the machine. I'm going to alter the camera angle now. And then if you go from the top and pull down, there's a pre-clean function. So if you're doing lots of dough in your recipe, then you would want the 6-minute dough. Universally 7 minutes, but I'm just going to do a quick one because I'm obviously going to be using it again, and just press that. But it's also all of these components, when you're finished, you can pop in the dishwasher. So you don't have to even wash it by hand. So it's just now warming up to get to temperature because it does see heat. And that is now obviously cleaning itself. Now this machine, you may not have actually seen it, but it's actually 1971 is when this machine was manufactured, and it was German. So you know you're going to get a really good quality machine when it's made in Germany. Not been in the UK for as long, around, I think it's 15, 18 years in the UK. And you can't get it in the shops at all. It's the manufacturer, the designer decided that the business model is to show people and demo it. And once you purchase one of these, you also get the after sales service that you don't get in shops where you are well looked after. And I've become an advisor. So that means that because of doing what I do in nutrition and wellness, being a qualified nutritionist, I decided that it was the perfect thing for me to do to become an advisor. So if somebody does want to purchase it through me, they can. And then you get all the after sale service from me. So recipe ideas, particularly relating to health, which one should I have? Bouncing ideas. So, and also with this machine, you can create your own recipes as well, and you can adapt your own recipes. So we're going to show that. So I'm just going to show you what's happened now. So it has cleaned it. You still need to give it a rinse under the tap, but you can see there. So I'm just going to rinse it quickly now before we start the next one. There we go. Nice, quick and easy. Nice and clean now. So I'm just going to dry it off before we start the next one. And literally that's all you do when you finish one recipe and another. And I use this machine at least once a day. There we go. So I'm just drying it off. So you just need to be careful when you go around the blade. Don't want to get too near the blade. So that's that one. I'm going to pop that back on there. And I just need to wash and rinse the lid as well. And then we're ready to go again. So, probably saying, what have I got in store for the next one? So what we're going to do next is energy balls. Because I think energy balls is something that we need to have. You can keep these energy balls once you've made them in the fridge for up to a week. The machine will do 20, or the beauty, which I'll show you in a moment, is you can actually, so if you are somebody that lives on your own and you know the amount of recipes that we get, and they're usually to serve 4 people online or maybe from a book. And sometimes it can be a bit of a nightmare to try and adjust the servings for recipes, or can't be bothered to work it all out. Whereas this machine, if you can adapt the recipe, as I said. So if it says it serves 4, you can create it as a new recipe and tell it you want it to serve 2. And what that does, it recalculates everything from all the ingredients that you've got in that recipe, right down to the time that's needed to cook as well, or make. So it's all done for you. So I'll show you, because the one it's set for this next one is for 10 balls. Just going to put this in the fridge. And obviously, I'm not going to make 20. So let's have a look. So again, 3 dots. I'm going to go for my week. And then I'm going to find the energy balls. And as you can see, so I'm going to scroll down. And sorry, would help if I had the screen on the screen. So it's set at 20. So now I'm going to take it to 10 because I don't need to make 20. And then I've adjusted it to 10 and then press start. So that now has automatically calculated. So the first one is blanched hazelnuts. Now, you could actually use any nuts. So I've actually got walnuts today, mainly because I couldn't get hazelnuts in the supermarket. If you're in a health food shop, then that's absolutely fine because you can usually get those, or different types of nuts. But I was in the supermarket, so I was limited. So I've looked at walnuts. Now I've chose walnuts because they are low in carbohydrates than most nuts. Per 100 grams, there's only 3.3 grams of carbohydrate. So I've done it because it's a low carbohydrate. And of course, nuts are good because they contain healthy fats, so they help reduce inflammation. So that's why I've gone for those. So what it's telling me now, gonna get some scissors on this, is that I need 150 grams of nuts. And it might be worth experimenting with different types of nuts. Like I said, it's down to what you want. Um, I mean, if you didn't want to put 150 grams of nuts in, you could reduce it quite easily. So the scales is not set at 0, so I'm just going to press the button there, just because of movement, it's moved. So now he wants 150, which I think will be practically all of this bag. Not far off, with a little bit left. So it's got 150. Obviously, because I'm within 10%, it's automatically now tick that off. If I was more than 10% over or less than 10% under, if I was more than 10% under, sorry, then what it would do is it wouldn't tick it off. So you'd have to just do it manually. Then it's asking to put the lid on. And then I just need to put the little top on. Just make sure I dry that off a bit. There we go. Top on, and then I'm just going to press that green button again for brine's finished. So it's asking me to scrape down. Let's just wait for it to unlock the lid. So just to show you now, you can see how those nuts have really blitzed. And this machine's great because you'll see in a moment, lentils, nuts, seeds, it will grind to a powder. So you could use flour, lentil flour, nut flour, also sugar. It will turn sugar into caster sugar. So you have to find two different types of sugar, which that's the bit I love. It's cost saving. There you go. So we've done that. Let's have a look. Next. And now it's asking for bejeweled dates. So all I've done is cut the bejeweled dates in half and took the stone out. So it wants 90 grams. So just check it's set on 0. I've only done a few, so I might have to cut some more. Looks like I'm going to have to do a couple more. What are we on now? 62? A little stone out. Need probably another one. And like I said, rather than waste, if it's slightly over or slightly under, rather than doing another one after that, I'd stop. So that's 95. It has taken me over, but it's within 10%. Oh no, it's not within 10%, so I'm gonna have to put that. So now it's for cacao powder. So this one is, make sure it is cacao and not milk chocolate powder. So this is the one that I've used because cacao powder is really good and natural, which is why I love the cacao powder, because it actually improves, it supports heart health and circulation. It's rich in antioxidants such as polyphenols, also enrich brain function as well because it helps to increase blood flow, and also positive impact on our mood. So if you do suffer with your mood, because it does have a source of magnesium in. and also a good source of fiber. It also has iron in raw cacao powder, and it helps to improve your body to produce nitric oxide. So nitric oxide levels, which nitric oxide is used for our blood vessels. So when we are, your blood pressure, and you've got the diastolic and systolic, so the relaxation and the way it pumps, this is what helps with blood vessels for blood pressure. And also improves insulin secretion and reduces inflammation. So there you go. Lots of health benefits with raw cacao. So what do we want here? We want 1.5 tablespoons. So here we are. And again, depending on how you like it, it depends if you're somebody who likes to be accurate or whether you're somebody like me who's like, I'm loving. It doesn't matter. So that's roughly the half. And we can tick that up. Natural vanilla extract. Again, this is looking like a teaspoon. And this is the vanilla extract is obviously there to help take the sort of potential bitterness that's in the chocolate, the cacao powder that we've put. So it just says half a teaspoon. And again, if you find that actually against the cacao powder, it's a little bit still a bit and you want it sweeter, you could potentially add a bit more. That's that. Tick that. Next. Okay, so now it needs to blend for 30 seconds. And that helps to combine all of those ingredients that we've got. So we've got nuts in there, the cacao powder, bejeweled dates, and we've also put some vanilla extract in there. We'll line it up correctly. So it says prolonged time by 30 seconds is necessary until it comes together. So it might be that we need to do it a bit longer, but we'll have a look. It depends on how exact you put the ingredients in, for example. So, oh, the smell of chocolate. Can you see? There. So, what we need to do now, let me have a look. Roll mixture into 10 balls. So we're going to let's just see if it's come together first. Make sure we've got that mixture how we want it. Just going to have a go and have a look inside. Oh, yeah. So it is coming together. So that looks nice, light, fluffy. So I'm just going to get a plate. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the mixture in actually a bowl. And then I'm going to come back to this because of our next recipe we're going to do is going to take a little bit longer on the cooking. So while that's cooking away, I can come back to these and make the balls. So for the time being, we just need to empty it so we can clean it and then start again. So let me just lower this so you can see me putting it in. So I can get my spatula. Looks lovely. Tell you what, if you could smell this. If you're like me, I absolutely love chocolate. That's my downfall. I'm not going to lie, my downfall is chocolate. Particularly certain times of my cycle. Because I think the reason why, and I know I'll go, it's because I want to lift my mood. And with this containing raw cacao powder, because it contains raw cacao powder with the magnesium, and if you struggle with sleep, magnesium is what we need for sleep. There's also muscle repair, muscle function is really important as well. Um, so what we're going to do now, so I'm just going to show you, that's the chocolate that we've just done. I'm going to set that aside now, and I just need to clean this out from the chocolate. So again, as before. And luckily, I've got no bits stuck around the blade, no chunks or anything hidden. It's come out quite clean because it's quite moist and stuck together. But if for some reason it was, you could do a quick burst on and set it to turbo, and that will blitz the blade around. So if there's any dough or anything stuck around the blade, it will blitz it off and help to clean the blade. So it's easy, even easier to get any more of the mixture out before you clean it. So I've just done that. Just going to do the pre-wash. Again, drag it from the top down. So you get this, so you get the screen, and then you've got the pre-wash. Quick dough, because it's not too bad, I'm going to stick with quick and let that, it's going to heat up again for 2 minutes and let that do its thing. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed those two recipes, which was the green smoothie, it's a nice healthy drink. And that's sometimes really good to have at breakfast because the fruit and it's in there, the fibre, and it's very good for energy as well. That could be a good one to start for breakfast, or you could have it any time of day. Now, the next one we're going to do is also one of my favourites. And we're going to move on now to a soup. So you can use this for lunch. So obviously I need to clean this first for soup, but we're going into liquid again. So I just need to make sure it's clean. Doesn't matter if it's too wet still around the blade because I'm going to be using wet. If I was doing some like scones or something that's dry, flour or anything, or if I was going to use sugar and turn it into icing sugar, you'd want to make sure that the blade and everything is completely dry. So let's have a look. Here we go. Just blitz it so you can see it's cleaned majority of it off, so it makes it a lot easier. So just need to get that off. It doesn't take too long to clean. There you go. That's all done. Just need to dry it. And one of the most important things is at the bottom, you can see 3 little prongs. Because that attaches to the base, you just want to make sure that if you did get that slightly wet, that you dry it completely as well. And like I said earlier, when you've finished using the machine, then everything can go in the dishwasher if you've got one. And all you've got is 3 components. You've got the bucket, the mixing bowl, you've got the blade, and then you've got the lid. So there's not too much in the way of, how many things that you've got to clean. So all I do with a dry hand, I just check those prongs feel dry just before I pop it on. I'm just going to do the lid. Nearly. So as I said before, it is so easy to change a recipe and reduce it down. As you've just seen, I could have set that to make 20, but just for the purpose, obviously, of this, I've just made 10. And it depends how big you make the balls as well. I mean, we're gonna have a look in a minute at how, the 10 balls that it makes. You can make five bigger balls. It's entirely, how you want to do it. This is just a guide, and don't be afraid to change recipes, mix them up, alter them. And that's why I love the flexibility and the functionality of creating your own recipes and adapting ones that's already there. Particularly if there's something you don't like. So, for example, I do find a lot of people don't like mushrooms. So you can switch it and change to a different vegetable, depending what the recipe is as to what vegetable you would switch it to. So you could use peppers, for example, is quite a popular one. You could put an onion in if there's no onions in there. So don't be afraid to experiment and play. So let's come back to the machine. Now we've done a bit of cleaning down. So this is recipe number 3. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come to the red pepper and tomato soup that I mentioned. Just going to check. So this is for 4 people, so I'm going to keep it at 4 and press start. I could have reduced it down to 2 if I wanted to. And like I said, if you're on your own, you could reduce it down to 2, have one for lunch, and then put one in the fridge and have one for lunch the next day. What I will say with the soup is the portions are based on lunch. So if you were using it as a little starter, then instead of serving 4, then it could serve 8, for example, because you just have a taste. You wouldn't have like a full bowl potentially. So that's worth bearing in mind with that. So first of all, we're going to be doing lentils. So I'm just going to check that I've dried this enough because we're going to grind lentils into a powder. So what I'm going to do now is just get some kitchen roll just to double check that it's dry at the bottom around the blade. It's not a biggie if it was, um, but it can get a bit claggy if you're not careful. So that's the only reason why it wouldn't stop it from it working. There, that's quite dry now. There we go. So I'm going to show you lentils. So here's some red lentils, and make sure it's on 0. And we need 40 grams. I'm going to move that because I might knock it over. 40 grams. Hey, that's not bad. 41. Getting good at this. When you first use it, it can be, the measuring. But I've got used to it now. So next, it's telling me now I've got to place the lid on because it wants to grind. So again, you just put the stopper on. Just making sure it's dry. And then press. So it's 20 seconds now on speed 10. It's going to basically grind those lentils into a powder. This is what I love. It's going to be quite a bit noisy. Take on. Now this is the magic. So you can see, look, that's obviously the lentils because the grinding process, as you can see, it's turning into flour. Look at that. Magic. And that is just, trying to do that yourself. So now I need to set that aside. So I'm going to get a bowl now and just set that aside. We put it towards the end of the recipe. So here you can see, just going to go. Put that on there. Now it's asking for 2 garlic cloves. So I haven't done that yet. So here's the garlic. And all you need to do is just take the tops off the garlic, each end, and then just peel the sort of outer skin that you get. But you don't need to do anything else other than that because the garlic can actually go in whole. Garlic has so much health properties. It's classed as an antimicrobial. It contains a compound called acillin, and the acillin, which is the compound inside garlic, is an antimicrobial, so it's really good for gut health, and it helps to fight infections. And sometimes we get some certain bugs in our gut that overgrow, and this helps to kill any overgrowth of certain bugs to keep them at bay, particularly the different bacterial strains. So people don't realise actually how good garlic is. It is a love it or hate it though with garlic because of the smell. People are always worried next day about their breath. So it's it is good though. So if you do like garlic, again, if you didn't like garlic, you don't have to put it in. So there you can see 2 pieces of garlic, in they go. I can tick that. And then onions, we need 50 grams, and it's asking for them to be quartered. So again, only need to top and tail it. And I will sort of take the brown outer skin off. So you need to take the first layer off, unless the onion doesn't look so nice. And then depending what 50 grams looks like. So you can see how quick that was. There we go. Pink. A bit more. And again, if it's over, it doesn't matter. It's just more onion in your soup. Onion is really good. Again, onion's also an antimicrobial. So it does so very similar to garlic, which contains allicin, but it helps in other ways because of the different compounds, because there's a different compound in garlic. But garlic contains sulfur as well. Sorry, onions contain sulfur, which is really good for detoxification, and helping your body get rid of toxins. So that's why I do love onions. Also, onions are anti-inflammatory and contain vitamin C, would you believe? And also folate, and B6 is involved in onions as well. And you've got fibre, manganese, which improves bone density, and chromium. So chromium is a real powerful one for blood sugar regulation and insulin response. So type 2 diabetes, for example. So onion is a really good one. So red peppers now, 200 grams. So with red peppers as well, you don't have to be specific when you're cutting it. So all I do is I take the top off first, so you can see. That's all I've done is took the top off. And then I just cut it. And all it's asking you to do is quarters. It's not asking you to cut it into really small chunks. So you just cut it into quarters. It says it's approximately 2. So just check that that's set at 0. Depends how big your peppers are as well. I think this is going to be just under two. That one was quite a big chunky pepper that I just put in there. So we're at 135 at the moment. Just going to rinse this one because it's got a few seeds. Got a few seeds there. Some more in. What are we at now? That's what I love about it. It's just brilliant. Just throw it in. Again, that was within 10%. Now we need some oil for this one. So it's asking for olive oil. And it mainly, the oil that we tend to use is oil. I always buy the extra virgin olive oil because it's as close to the olive as you possibly can get. So it's not as processed as other oils. And also it contains really good healthy fats, which are good for inflammation, joint pain. So this is why I do like olive oil. There's only a bit in this one. So I will need to open. There's only a tad in there. But don't worry, I have another one, a new one. Probably should have started with this one. There we go. Again, experiment with it. If you wanted a lot less oil than that, then you could use a lot less oil. So now it's going to chop. So you've got to put the lid back on. And it's going to chop. 2 seconds. I know one thing, I can't chop that quick. So again, you wait for it to, wow, look at that, 2 seconds. And you could see the big chunks that I put in there, couldn't you? Yeah. So I just need my spatula again, but it's giving that quick rinse from the chocolate that I just did. So I'm just that's it. Just asking me to scrape down because sometimes when it blitzes it, it fires it up the wall of the mixing bowl. Pop the lid back on. And then it's going to saute now for 5 minutes. And this is where we're going to move back to the energy balls. And I'm going to make those next. So while this is sauteing. So it's going to be 5 minutes. It's going to get to 100 degrees. 100 degrees. So let me have a look at this. So we're coming back to the balls, and I'm just going to get a plate to roll them on. There we go. So I'm going to use the plates and go to move this now so you can see. And also, this is a time where you've got 5 minutes now. So you could go and peg your washing out. You could go upstairs and do some vacuuming. Go and play with the kids. Do whatever you want. And you haven't even got to watch it boil over or anything like that. It just does its thing. And it will tell you on your phone. So you can see that on my phone, it's my dog on there as well. Bless him, bless her. On my phone, might not be able to see, but there's a bar there that's come up, and that's telling me, without even logging in and putting the face to unlock the phone, it's telling me there's 3 minutes and 41 seconds left on there. So it's brilliant that you can just go away and leave it. So what am I doing? Energy balls, that's what I'm doing. Menopause brain, forget where I put things. So So again, you can make them as big as you want to. So I'm going to try. Oh, they feel really nice. Wow. So I'm going to do that sort of size. In fact, I've changed the nut to what it said, and I used walnuts instead of hazelnuts. But my God, they're so soft. That's two. So it's difficult to know the size to make 10. So you might find you make too many if you do them too small, or you might find that you do not enough and they're too big. So, oh, they're going a bit bigger now. Got a bigger one now. I'm not going to change it. And also, I mean, if it's for the kids as well, you could make some small ones and some bigger ones, adult size versus kids. It doesn't matter. So far, I've got five. So I've got half of them done, with two being on the bigger side. Let's have a look. 2 minutes left on my sheet. See? Time flies. I better hurry up. Next one. There we go. Another one. So we've got now 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh God, I think I'm gonna have too many. I think I've made them too small. Not a bad thing. There we go. Next one. These are great as well, because you can put them in the fridge for a week. And personally, I think they're a good idea for, when you've got that sugar craving or you've got to have chocolate. Sometimes it can be because you've got a headache and you just feel that you need that chocolate. Then they're great just to grab. Here goes another one. We've got 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, I think it's going to make 11. There we go. I've made 11. So maybe the 11th one is the person that did the prep just gets to taste it. So, oh my God. It's very smooth, absolutely delicious. And I love chocolate where it gets a bit claggy in your mouth. But, like chocolate brownies heated up. These are just like that. I give you that. No, coat. So these would be good after a meal if in the perfect timing. In the evening when you get that craving after you've had your meal and you just need something sweet. This could be something you could attach straight after a meal. But those are definitely, yeah. Right then. Wash my hands. Oh, trouble is they're moreish. Just gotta be careful you don't eat them all. Right then. So these are my balls. Look at them. You could, if you get some, if you were doing it at a dinner party or, buffet table, you could get some in here. You could chop some nuts up into fine powder, and then you could dust them on the top, or you could dust them with coconut. So that's rather than them just looking brown. Especially with, towards Christmas where it looks like a snowball. So you could do something like that just to finish it off if you were looking at it being decorative. Right, let's come back to this. Let's see what's happened. Oh, look at that steam. So not much to see at the moment, but it's just heated it up and it smells lovely. So what I've got to do now, you can definitely smell the garlic. So it's asking for ripe tomatoes. So I got tomatoes on the vine, um, just because look at the redness in those. And they looked really ripe, but big tomato works well. So this one, you just got to cut them into 2 centimetre pieces, again, roughly, and then just throw them in, um, which I'm going to do now. And again, just make sure that that's set to 0. And then just cut them roughly. Doesn't have to be perfect. Throw them in. Oh, tomato! I love tomatoes. Growing your own is better if you can and get them right because they've got more taste and flavour. Try and get the UK if you can. Because when they come from overseas, they tend to pick them when they're green and they ripen in transit, but then they're tasteless. Whoa. It's not very nice when tomatoes are tasteless. So you've probably seen that I've put that in. What are we at now? Got a bit of a way to go. So tomatoes contain something called lycopene, and when it's heated, it activates lycopene. So it is better for cooked tomato, cooked anything cooked that's red. And lycopene is like an antioxidant. So it is really good to reduce inflammation, help fight oxidative stress, DNA damage in the body. So powerful. There we go. Vitamin C, potassium, as well as K1 and folate is in tomatoes. Nowhere near yet. Keep going. Stop talking and keep chopping. We're at 300 though. Lots of tomatoes because it is tomato and red pepper. So with this, just to let you know, at the moment I'm on 395, but I've only got this much tomato left. I'm not going to waste it, so I'm going to put it in. That will take me over. So I'm on 300. I'm on 455 now, but it's fine. It's just more tomatoes. Um, it's asking for 400 grams of water now because I've put the extra bit of tomato in. You can adjust your water. So if you like a really thick soup, you might want to put less water in. If you like quite a thin soup, then you obviously can put the more water in. So it's asking for 400 grams of water. So again, set to 0. I'm going to go, if I can, slightly under. I want to go 3.7. It's 373, just because I put that little bit of extra tomato in. Now, vegetable stock. I'm using a vegetable stock cube. However, there is a recipe to make your own vegetable stock paste. So that's something that you could consider. And also you can make all your sauces. So tomato ketchup, there's a recipe. Hummus, oh, I've done that. That's really nice. Any of your sauces you can think of, there's a recipe for it. So you can really go, depends how far you want to go from cooking from scratch, but you could literally do everything from pickles. And of course, they stay in the fridge for quite a while. So again, you can adjust your quantity to how many people, just to help. So that's something to bear in mind as well. Next. So this is where, remember the ground lentils we did at the beginning? We're going to now pour this in. This will help to thicken the soup. So look at that. Oh, all of that goes in. Next. Now it's adding, now I don't put salt in mine, but it says add the salt. So I'm just going to tick that off because I'm not putting any in. But I am going to put and pepper. And now this is optional. So I like a bit of kick to mine. And you don't have to add this, but it is cayenne pepper. It's really nice if you like that little bit of a kick. And again, add as little or as much of this as you want. This is optional and to your taste. It's saying a quarter of a teaspoon. Now, I actually quite like a kick, so I'll probably add just a little bit of a heat, quarter of a teaspoon. Um, Next. So what's now? We're going to cook for 14 minutes is the next one. So this is where we cook for a while. So I'm going to put the lid on. And there you go. So I just thought it'd be good now to look at Cookie Do, so you can see what's on there for recipes, because there are so many different choices. There are over 1,000 recipes to choose from. So if I go through here for you while that's cooking. So just want to show you, I'm not sure if you can see the screen here, but there's one, you can do manual mode, you can do dough, so you can just make the dough, you can boil eggs on here, you can blend, and you can turbo as well. And then there's a list here, you might see broccoli, beef, apricot. So let's say we chose beef. As we haven't done it, it will mince your beef. So if you've got a joint, and we know sometimes that it can be quite expensive, well, this can mince it. So, and you can look at price comparisons. And then you've also got the steam on here as well. Let's look at what else you've got. If you, grains, cereal grains. So it can choose your desired result. So you can choose any grain and make it to flour quite easily. Then the next one up, it looks a bit like a book. And it is a book because these are your recipes. So you can bookmark your recipe. So if you see a recipe you really like, you can bookmark it. So at the moment, I've got chocolate peanut butter protein balls bookmarked. Haven't done them yet. Creamy butter chicken, I've done that one. That is absolutely delicious. And I did that one for my mom, and she really liked it. It was like you went to a restaurant and had that. And it's great because you can do some really healthy, what I call fakeaways. You've also got scones. There's cheese scones on here as well, and they are delicious. I've tried the cheese scones, so I definitely recommend those. There's walnut scones. So if we've got some walnuts, for example, left over from today, not many, but I have. You could go and then make the walnut scones and utilize some of those. What else have we got? Oh, the frozen fruit sorbet is delicious. It does have sugar in there, but it is a good, nice treat. And it's just frozen fruit. And you blitz it, and it literally is like you've just bought a sorbet. And how much does a frozen bag of fruit is what? A couple of quid, 3 quid. Sugar, which doesn't cost a massive amount, and you've probably got some anyway in your cupboard, and that's about all you need. But if you go and buy a tub of frozen sorbet from the supermarket, you are looking, I don't know, I don't really buy it as a sorbet, is it 4 quid? But you can see the difference. There's also lemonade. Oh, lemonade is delicious. Definitely recommend that one. That literally is lemons with the rind. So it keeps everything in. So I would probably, if you want to, like for making sure there's no toxins, maybe buy the organic. Sometimes they have them on offer, and you just whack the whole lemons in, and then it's water. So you could use sparkling water or tap water. And it makes the most delicious lemonade. So I definitely recommend that. And that is cheap as chips, just for lemons, and a bit of sugar in that one. Mushroom risotto, that's lovely. I've done that. You can see barbecue sauce there as well. Lots of juices. So you've got immune. So we're coming up. Liver detox. I've accidentally touched the liver detox. But you've got liver detox, you've got immune booster, particularly in the winter when you think, immune system's going low. You've got kimchi, so really good for gut health, for fermented foods. You've got mint sauce. If you have having lamb, how to make your own mint sauce. You can make porridge in here. It also acts as a kettle. So if you love green tea, technically we should only boil it to 80 degrees. And if we boil it higher than that, that's why it can get that bitter taste. And you're not getting the EGCG that's in green tea that's really beneficial for our health. So they recommend boiling at 80 degrees. Well, you can set the temperature on here on where you want the water to boil to. So it acts like a kettle. You can see that it scales as well because we did the scales as we were going through. It's also broccoli. Broccoli salad is delicious. Done that one. It's got apples in it as well. Really fresh and crunchy. But again, it chops it so finely that it just tastes nicer than if you were doing it manually yourself. Can make Christmas cake and it's diabetes friendly. So there's a Christmas cake recipe there. Chili lime sauce, digestive bliss, beet tox. So it's a good one. So nitric oxide we mentioned earlier, brilliant for helping to lower blood pressure. You've got a beet recipe there. Sauerkraut is another fermented food that uses cabbage, usually for that one as your base. So that one's good. Tomato ketchup, you can make your own. I've not tried that yet, so it'd be interesting to see what that's like. I've tried the chicken curry with spinach. That is lovely. And you can make your own flatbreads. So I made my own flatbreads and I had some left over. So we were having chicken curry and spinach for our tea. So I made the flatbreads because obviously you roll it as thin or as you want. And I made the flatbreads like naan breads. And we had the flatbread as a naan bread. And again, you could put some coriander leaves in there chopped. You could put some garlic and mix some garlic. So you could really make some nice flavored sort of flatbreads as like a naan bread, but we just had plain because that's what I'd already made and I got left over in the fridge. So that's something to do. There's your vegetable stock paste that I said that you can make. Simple and easy. So if I click on that, it will give you 800 grams. And all it is celery, carrots, brown onions, fresh tomatoes, garlic cloves, bay leaf, fresh basil, fresh sage, rosemary, parsley. They've put a bit of salt and olive oil. And then, so 1 tablespoon of stock as well. It tells you in the notes, there's some really good notes information, but 1 tablespoon of stock paste is roughly equivalent to 1 shop bought stock cube. And to make the vegetable stock, you use 1 tablespoon per 500 grams of water. So if you wanted vegetable stock, it even tells you how much paste to water ratio you need. Takes all the guesswork out. And the salt that's in the recipe is used as a preservative. So you might not want to omit the salt in this one and it tells you there. So it's helping for the stock to last a little bit longer. And then when you scroll right the way down the bottom of the machine, I'm just going to show you now the screen, you've got your nutrition information. So it tells you, obviously this is only paste, so there's only 20 grams of paste. So it tells you the calories, just 9 calories. Carbs is just 1.3, fats 0.4, protein 0.2, saturated fat is 0.1. So it even tells you right the way down to your nutrition information. Hummus. Oh, there's the flatbread that I said that I did. That's really good. So those are all my bookmarked recipes that I'm like, oh, so there's a lot that I've tried, but there's still some that I haven't. And then here's my created recipes. So the creamy buttered chicken, it's in my created recipes because it originally said serve 6 and I was only doing 3 people. So I overrided it and put 4. So it calculates it as a new recipe. So that is why it's appearing there now. Um, and then you can go back to home. So home is where you've got everything. So it tells you what's trending right now. Also, it does different countries. So depending what type of food, Mexican, Italian, Spanish, it does all different countries. So you can even go for a search. Um, and let's try, oh, what could we go for? Um, it has absolutely, I haven't found a recipe yet that it's not got in. I even looked at stuffing for roast dinner and there was a stuffing recipe for that. So it has got absolutely everything. Let's go for burritos. Um, There you go. There's me. I need to show it down. So I started typing in some letters and then it just comes up with lots of options. But then burrito is there. And here you go, there's loads of different types of burritos. Everything is marked as well out of 5. So there's a 4.3, there's a 4.6, and it tells you how many people have cooked it. So the 4.3 one, there's 309 people that have voted on that one to give it that score. So it helps you to decide whether, oh God, what's it going to be like? Am I going to like it? Also, you can make wraps. So let's go for if you want to make your own wraps. There we go. Wraps. And you can see here, it's in some of them are in different languages because it's from a different country. So you would need to just do a translate on that one to get the translation. Yeah, wrap tikka masala. So if you wanted a chicken tikka masala wrap, here you are. And again, for serving sizes, you can alter it, set at 4, but you can go down to 2 or up to 6. So yeah, there's so many recipes and they're always adding to it as well. And then if you go to collection, there's even all the books that are on built in with this. And you can click on, I don't know, there's a lower GI book here. So if I click on lower GI and there's malted milkshake, so it does milkshakes, spiced carrot fritters, breakfast burrito, sounds nice. Jerk chicken with sweet potato. So you can go right to the book. So again, depending what your aim is, um, like eating healthily, what diet you're following, there's vegan, vegetarian, omnivores, everything is on there. So you won't really be stuck. And you can put your own, if you've got a favorite recipe that's not in there, then you can put your own recipe in there as well that I can show you. So yeah, it is amazing bit of kit that I just couldn't be without anymore. As you can see, I use it all the time. And that brings us nicely to the soup that we're making. We have 32 seconds. I've just put the clock back on. So you can see we've got 32 seconds left. Not long now. So we're gonna bring that because I'm just going to get some bowls. Here we go. So now it's cooked. It wants to blend it all. So this is where, let me show you first before we go into the blend. Oh, it's quite runny at the minute and quite chunky. Let me see if I can bring that down so you can see. So it's quite runny and chunky at the moment. So we need to blend it now because this is what's going to make it into this a thick soup, and it makes it smooth. So this is 1 minute on speed 10. So you can see it churning away. Not long now. Okay, so serve immediately. So let me just take this so you can see me as well. I'm going to pour it now into the bowls and serve. So just take the lid off. You just need to be careful, obviously, how you take the lid off because it's going to be hot. The lid obviously always goes down, so then you don't get all the gunk and that on your side. And then you can see now it's, hoping you can see it's quite thick, but I'm going to pour it into the bowl so you'll be able to see, hopefully, the two bowls here. Here we go. Nice soup. One. And then, of course, any that's left over, you can freeze or pop in the fridge and have it tomorrow. So hopefully you've enjoyed the session. Please reach out if it's something you're interested in because I can come and do a cooking experience in the comfort of your own home, or we can meet somewhere on mutual grounds, and I can show you it face to face. Or if you'd like some information on the options to purchase and get your hand on one of those yourself, then feel free to get in touch. And I hope you enjoyed today's session.